My name is Claudia Auer. I'm a leading architect of our Sandås architect, architecture practice based in Helsinki. We founded this practice 25 years ago, and I have been also teaching public building design as university teacher in Aalto University, actually with 4 different professors and during the last years with Pirjo. So I have been teaching in all those courses that Pirjo has shown, and I'm doing also research. I'm doing a PhD on practices in public building design and creative practices. So it is a practice-led research. And I will now show you, I have a lot of pictures. I try to talk little and show more pictures. And so I will show you different learning environments planned by our office and like the thoughts that are like connected to this architecture. Oops. No? Let's try this one. There. Oh, no. Okay. So it's about architecture and learning, and about spaces enhancing growing, learning, and creativity. So first one, I think, what is learning? Learning is communication, and it is facing new phenomena, it is facing new challenges, and it is also facing social situations. So when we have been working with users, things like trust, safety, a balanced mind, and a sense of stressless presence, but also joy and curiosity have been topics that have been discussed. So when we have like spaces and pedagogy, we can like plan supporting facilities, and we can also create a calm and encouraging atmosphere. But we also need the right teaching methods. So those 3 things need to go together if we want to create a good learning environment. So that means that designing a learning environment is always a multidisciplinary challenge. It is a question of what kind of spaces do we need and what kind of pedagogy do we have. So I will go now into a second part, kind of portfolio, and I will show you learning spaces designed by our office. So I will show you university spaces. There's 2 schools of architecture, 2 kindergartens in the metropolitan area for the city of Espoo, and 2 primary schools in Espoo and Helsinki, also metropolitan in Helsinki. So schools of architecture are mostly places supporting creativity, and we were thinking about what kind of spaces do support creativity. Because when you're studying architecture, you need to gain knowledge, but you also need to gain practical understanding. So in the new building for Auer University, School of Architecture, that was 25 years ago, we won a competition. So this was competition drawings, still partly hand drawings. The School of Architecture in Oulu was situated in an old campus in the city block, in the city center. And we introduced there a new building that was kind of reacting to the scale of this historic block. So here you can see the historic block, and this is the kind of new building, and it is created of 4 small-scale kind of houses creating this new building and having kind of street-like network in the middle. It is like timber construction, and it's the courtyard. And it's like it has concrete boxes in the first floor with the lecture halls, and then the study spaces in the second floor. So we wanted to create kind of inspiring and calm atmosphere. That was mainly the main thought about that. It was modular structure, a timber structure. So there has been research done that natural, like the kind of a contact to nature, and also the use of natural elements, and especially like wooden surfaces, that lowers the stress levels in working environments and in learning environments. This is the studio, one of the studio spaces. And we really make this kind of small scale spaces that we will be connected by roof lights to kind of give you the sense of your whereabout. Where are you? You're connected to the other ones. So these are the spaces here under the roof. So an authentic atmosphere, small scale, natural materials, and daylight. That was kind of central ideas always when we were designing learning environments. And then also kind of sense of place, a connection between indoor and outdoor, and natural elements. At this block, there was in the middle a kind of fire alley with big old birch trees. So I mean, it's kind of the center of this place. You can see it there outside in the autumn color. So we put the cafeteria there. And this spot really got the kind of central space of the whole block. And so this kind of sense of togetherness and community is important for every, like if you design a school, but also if you design workplaces, you really create an identity for the people who are working there. So this is kind of the students eating there, and there is a place for parties, as you have those in architecture schools. This was the inauguration party. And then another building was also for the School of Architecture, that is in Aalto University, workshop and studio spaces there. So this is an old picture of Aalto University like it was before. Actually, at this time it was still Technical University. There was no Aalto University at this place. This was the main building of Technical University by Alvar Aalto, and the library, and the building I'm talking about is this here in the corner down. So it was a building in the 60s, typical building for this Otaniemi area where Aalto University is situated, and we made a refurbishment of that. It was a meteorological institution, a research institute, but it was changed into the workshop spaces and studio spaces for School of Architecture. So we had 2 floors. In the cellar there was kind of student spaces, and the first floor there were the workshop spaces, and in the second floor there is the kind of studio spaces. So, and we dealt here with the different modes of learning. So in the first floor we had machinery and woodworking. There's all this, for example, this pavilion, what Peter showed was built there or was designed there, and the parts of that was built in these workshops. And in the second floor, we would have kind of studio spaces for contemplation. So we have the learning by making, and we have the mode of contemplation and the contrast between that. In the first floor, we have chosen this kind of raw material, a workshop-like atmosphere, and in the second floor, very kind of light and white spaces. And then the use of color to connect those. So this is the workshop spaces of School of Architecture, and here the studio spaces. And we always have used color as part of our architecture. Like color is always a nice way of creating places. We also used here color as some kind of a color shower. When you go from one way of learning to the other way of learning, then you get this kind of bright color shower in between. It's like when you enter a kind of a music hall, like a theater, then you go to this dark, small place. So we wanted to people go through this very colorful space to know to move from one space to the other. Oh, this is now going backwards. And there was again parties, the inauguration of this building. Now this is parties of the School of Architecture in Helsinki. Yeah. But now I would go to kindergartens. Kindergarten is a kind of a place of growing, a place of learning physical and social skills. So Tuomarila Kindergarten was made about 15 years ago. It is in the city of Espoo, a colorful building that has been also published quite internationally. So there was the question of what is a home. The teachers were talking if they want to have a home-like situation. And we were thinking home, that is something very different for different people, for different families. So we wanted to create a place of identity for kids, a place that they would remember for their whole life, that here they were in the kindergarten. So for the identity of those kids here, that's what's going on in a kindergarten. That is not from this kindergarten, but it's a kind of, it was the kindergarten of my daughter. So this is there was an old building and the new building situated on with a big playground. In Finland, all the kids go out in the morning and in the afternoon. And that makes a lot of work for the teachers because they need to kind of dress, undress the kids and whatever weather there is. If there is snow, if there's rain, the kids will always go out. And you can buy in Finland these really nice trousers made of rubber. So when you have small kids and want to go to Finland, you should buy rubber clothes there. But it's important also orientation and finding your own place. That was one idea, like the bee house. But where is my place? Am I in the red? Am I in the yellow? Or am I in the blue? Blue one. So the red is the older kids, and the yellow is the 4-year-olds, and the small are in the blue situation. And this is also kind of a village-like situation in between. Always like 2 group rooms for one group, and then having a connecting street-like corridor system, helping the teachers between the groups to help each other with dressing and undressing the kids. Playfulness is one big thing, or has been for us with the kindergartens. We also have been in an exhibition in New York, which was called Playfulness, which was really nice way to show our work there. So this is Tuomarila Kindergarten, and the color, we use bright color, but we wanted color to kind of blend in a little bit camouflage-like, not big colored, but like a multicolor scale. Kind of every kid can find its own color, and if you look at the trees, you have shadow and bright color and so on. We kind of use this idea also for mixing the color there. So it was really a puzzle, but it kind of blends in the nature, although it is very colorful. And then it's a call of like growing, what scale. So kids, when they come to kindergarten, they are 60 centimeters, and when they leave the kindergarten, they are 120. So they will grow from one here underneath the window until the upper part of the window, and there will be windows they can see out when they grow a little bit. And we have inside like white spaces, so there will be the drawings of the kids and so, but outside you have the colors. And then also the colors for the different groups. And this was designed in cooperation with the leader of the kindergarten. Like we really were talking about which height do you need, because the children need to learn to dress themselves. They need to get those skills so it's not only the teachers to dress and then dress them. And then it's like the kids, the clothes of the kids need to hang there, so they are 110 high, so you need this place that you can hang those there, that it's not messy. So it's about learning these basic skills. And then you need also these functional entrance spaces for this going out and in all the time. Sports halls. And there's Storpelto Children's House. Was also a competition-winning entry for a kindergarten. This was also kind of a place for young families, kind of a center for young families, facilities there. And we wanted to have like all the kids under one roof, and then a connection to the outside, to the parks. And the scale that would be for the kids, like small houses for the kids under a big roof. So it was really like urban presence of the life of the kids. They're in the surroundings. It is a small plot, but it gave kind of presence to the kids and to their identity. This is the passive house. It was also a research project on sustainability, like what does sustainability mean and what kind of sustainable processes do we have by building these buildings. So it was about ecological sustainability, a passive house. We had geothermal heating and cooling and using passive solar energy, but we also did a study, but much wider study. So this is built in an area which is not very well to build, but in the city center. So it's better to grow in the city, to grow inside than to grow outside into the natural elements. This was the study done by the State Research Institute. And here's some pictures. So the sky was one topic here. We had, as part of nature, connection. And the weather. So we had this terrace, so the rain and the snow falls down to this terrace. So the kids would see that, and the sunlight, you have it then inside. You have the contact to that. This is the inside spaces of second floor, group rooms. So decreasing stress is a big thing in how do you decrease stress. Wood and calm colors can help with orientation, but also really like decrease stress. And then this kind of places for togetherness. This is a place where also like the idea was that also older people who are living in the neighborhood could come there and eat with the kids. I don't know if they do it, but that was at least they were talking about this concept in the beginning. And then also like this special designed for the kids. Just again to learning skills and having fun with learning skills. And school buildings, like school buildings in Finland have changed now in very big multifunctional service facilities. Helsinki has built a lot of this, like not only school buildings, but school buildings that kind of serve a lot of users. And those buildings we have seen a transformation of learning, or the idea of learning. In 2016, the learning plan has been, or the teaching plan has been changed. So there is new skills that we need to learn. There is digitalization and like society is changing. So our understanding of knowledge is also changing. So that needs to be kind of taken into care in learning. And then it is not only cognitive learning, it is also today a lot of embodied learning. So we need like flexible multifunctional learning spaces supporting different types of learning. Group learning, individual learning, team teaching, but you were talking about that already. And then we have facilities for lifelong learning. So it's not only the school, for the school children, it's also in the evening there's classes for the neighborhood, and the spaces can be used by actually every Helsinki citizen can like rent a space in a school if you want. So it's serving the community in a broader way, and it's creating also of a network of support for young families. You have the kids going there, and they will come there in maternity station already, in the maternity clinic, the pregnant woman, and then they will be there with the small babies, and then they will go there in school. So there's lots of professionals, pedagogists that will can serve the family, and they know the kids from very small until they like are ready with school. So this is Lippajärvi area, a place where Pirjo lives, quite near. It is a historical park, and so this is about understanding place and place in terms of history and nature. So there is this historical, what is it? Yeah, manor house, yeah. And this is a historical a toilet for the Russian Tsar, which was built there. So those were kind of, just things that kind of influenced our design. But what was the most important there was this really interesting and really nice old oak trees. The place was full with that. There was an old school built in the 50s, but this is kind of the plot. And here you can see the old school that was demolished, but you had these really nice old oak trees, and there's forest completely beside the plot. So we decided we don't tear down not one of the oak trees. We wanted to keep all the oak trees, and this was the first zero energy building built by the city of Espoo as a school. And we did 3D modeling, and energy modeling. And so we could gain this kind of zero energy building. And then the other thing was that we wanted to keep all the oak trees. So the place was kind of ready there. We just put the building in between, but the place stayed the same because the oak trees are really beautiful there. So we have the outdoor areas for the school, there is a sports area, then there's the kindergarten, we have also nature elements, then we have a park situation, and then we have more like service spaces. So outdoor elements are always outdoor classrooms that are also part of the Finnish learning environments. We have differentiated learning environments, a variation of spaces and also the outdoor spaces. This is the plan. We have a center. In the center we have, is this? So we have in the center, we have these multifunctional big spaces that can be connected to each other. And then we have here kindergarten, here we have school, and here we have art classes and sports hall. And in the second floor, there's like school is three stories, and then in the second floor we have the maternity clinic. That is how the drawings looked like. Always the trees, you really need to fight for these trees during construction phase. This was the perspective drawing of the main place. So here are the trees. So we really were building the building around the trees and how it looks like. It was one of your projects you had in your research. I hope it turned out well. So this is different scale in different places. The kindergarten is small to the street. It was kind of a high building, and then it's really connected to nature. They have also outdoor classes. This was this kind of nature classroom, which was serving the kindergarten. So in the indoors, there was this sense of togetherness and also this connection to the outdoors. Using also the trees as shadowing elements, having big windows, but the trees would shadow, so that was part of the zero energy like concept. And we have this kind of multifunctional spaces for big events, so this serve also cultural events in the neighborhood. And there is like sports facilities, and so we have these common spaces. Like streets within, and then we have spaces for group work and for individual work. This is a project space. You had a nice photo of that place than I have. So you have this kind of flexible project spaces. You have classrooms and group work, individual learning. This is from the kindergarten. And kind of a reading place. And then like a building which was very controversial now in Helsinki. This is the heart of Jakomäki service building. Also like a competition-winning building. It is a multi-user building. Primary school, kindergarten, playground facilities, youth center, sports facilities. It is a huge building, and it was designed. We started 2017, so the new learning plan was completely new. There was no rules for how to design this school, and we did really a lot of user like integration to create this kind of new and innovative learning environment. And so this is this building, how it looks like. We have different court entrances for different users here. So the ground one was for the school. This one is for the kindergarten side. This is how the building looks like. So we had in the interior a big project space, and then we had for the kind of the cafeteria here, and then these different courtyards to kind of find your whereabouts. And I will try. There is a video. what we have here, we have common spaces, like a central space, and here you can see different colors are all different uses. And we have 4 different like areas here. In the center, common spaces. Okay, so we have kind of 4 different areas here. We have in the center, we have these common central spaces. And then when you go more to the outside, it gets more calm. So there is in the middle, there's the big project space where all users, like used by all users, so that was at least the idea at the beginning. And then we have spaces of individual work, and then we have group spaces, and then we have like small scale spaces and classrooms, calm classrooms. So that would kind of allow for a kind of new learning methods. You have many different spaces. And also, because we have a lot of users, that gives synergy that when you have, we had here 2 kindergartens and 2 schools combined in one big institutions, and then we have also youth center and playground and sports. So all these user groups, if you combine them, then you have better equipped spaces, because they all would use a kind of sports hall. But when we have one sports hall and when we have one drama class, we can have like more money for better equipment. But of course, that brings also like there's more need for logistic. How do they work there, and who is there where in which spaces? That takes then the time of the teachers for this organizing. So here the central space is the dining area, and this is the teachers' room. And then we have this kind of special classrooms. We have classrooms for arts, woodwork, metalwork, fab lab. We have a textile work. We have ceramics studio. We have cooking class, natural science, and geographic laboratory. We have a music class. We have a drama class, and we have 2 dance halls. So this is here in front of the cooking class. Also, the idea was that these art classes have the equipped classes behind, and then you have this kind of workshop area. So the cooking class would be here besides, and then they would eat here on this table. So you would see, everyone would see what the others would do. It was very kind of open also. The idea of openness and transparency was very popular at this time. So here you have then the cooking class where they prepare. This is the music class. Then you have this kind of, around that, this area for individual learning. You have the lockers for the students there. And then you would have there, this central space was designed as a theater. The dance class and the sports hall of the kindergarten would turn into a like theater stage. So there's put a lot of technology in this building. So here you can see this gallery space which was meant for individual learning. We have also outdoor, the terraces and snow. And then around this we have this kind of home base. There is no kind of home classes, like home classroom for each group, but we had these home bases. And it was meant for big groups. So the idea was first, when we're talking with the pedagogue, that they would be, the big group would start the morning, and then the different groups would go to those spaces they would need. So this is how this common home base would look like. This is for the bigger children. And then around that we have kind of normal classrooms with different equipment. This is laboratory spaces. So I did kind of practice-led research on that project, and this project was discussed a lot in the papers, and it is really politicized, because it turned out that this kind of new learning spaces are not so popular. And the teachers did not start using this kind of methods that the design was kind of, that the building was designed with. So I was then thinking, okay, we are planning here a piano and you are like playing the oboe. That kind of doesn't work together. And I think that is something that is really important. So we're having in architecture practice and in education also, we're having this kind of multi-phase project. We have various stakeholders and ideas. We have multidisciplinary ideas, but they need to go together. And it's not enough that we design it in this way. Also the use must kind of be in this way. Otherwise it doesn't function. We have the ideas and concept, but if the physical and social realities does not meet that ideas that we had in the beginning, we have seen studies that is important. And that means also, for example, in this project, the teachers, they were all teachers, like they did have the old education with the old system, and they did not get any support of how to use these new learning methods. And that means that the support for teacher is really important. If we have a mismatch with the use and the design, then people will complain about spaces, and we have kind of a loss of good opportunities. For example, this theater space in the middle, it was now filled with classrooms. And now we have classrooms there in the middle, and they don't have this opportunity anymore for having big group teaching there. And now they have classrooms that don't have a contact to the outside. So this is kind of a really sad story in my eyes, because we really had nice ideas, but in reality it doesn't work. And I think the whole teaching is kind of in a big process of discussion. And one big thing what we found out is that space efficiency. You think about like being efficient with material and space that would be sustainable, but it is not socio-sustainable if it's too efficient. The old classrooms were 70 square meters. The new classrooms are like 50 square meters. So it's nearly like 30% less. And of course, if you have the same amount of pupils in much smaller spaces, that also will be not so calm like it was. And we also used that the architecture like service maybe should go on, and we should make like user manuals, because these very complex spaces or complex buildings, they have many opportunities, but the users often don't have the ideas of how to use these spaces. So that would be important to kind of go on with the design process or with the service of an architect, that we make a manual. We have a complex building. When you have a complex whatever machine, you have a manual. And these buildings, they are like complex machines. So that is something that is really needed. But what we really is good with this learning environment, it's multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary design teams. And that is kind of a real central thing in architecture, I think. Yes, thank you very much.